important thing you need in paint production is idea formulations, that's the technical skills, your target market, then your site locations, then accessibility to raw material. If you have these four major knowledge, you are good to go. Hello guys, you're welcome to another episode on Wabili House Finishes. In today's video, we are going into another dimension. The idea of video slide is good. I've been on video slide. Today I want to create a video that we need to discuss together. I would like you to share your views after this video, your comments about today's topic: how to start a quality paint production in Nigeria. Nigeria is a growing population in which entrepreneurship needs to be encouraged in our youth. The rate of unemployment of graduates in the society is increasing every day. So in order to reduce unemployment youth in our society, we need to start thinking of how we can create wealth. Wealth creations is entrepreneurship. So today we are bringing to you paint production in Nigeria, how you can start a small scale paint production in Nigeria. Paint production is one of the most profitable business individuals can start. This is because the raw material are readily available. The major importance in paint production is the technical skills. So why you and I can't develop a skills that will make fortune for us in the future. Today we are bringing to you a simple models of some problem we face while starting paint production in Nigeria. Paint production in Nigeria have been a difficult task by many youths to dwell into, because most of every paint users believe the big names have a special raw material they are using for their production, but everything about paint production is nothing but formulations. The way you formulate your ideas of your chemicals is different from what another company formulate. It is in these your formulations that you determine your best quality of the formula that you have created. So, and when you are determining your formulations, then you also determine your costs. This will give you knowledge and also enlighten you on how you can compete with the big names in the market. So today I'm just bringing to you some ideas that you need to understand about how you can start a simple paint production in Nigeria. One major issue that Nigerians face about paint production is where should be the factory, or where should my factory be? Paint production factory shouldn't be a problem. As a small scale paint producers, you can start your paint production in a shop or a rental apartment that you have access to water and good road network. And another thing in when you are determining your factory your locations. Also put in mind your target market. This will reduce your cost of transportation of your goods to the target market. So when you are choosing your location, that means you need to determine your target market and as well as accessibility to raw materials. These are some of the issues small scale paint producers are having. Issues about where should my factory be, how big should your factory, big should my factory be, or then a factory at a small scale, the machines, you can start a simple small scale paint production using a simple hand drilling machine, depending on the size of your production. The hand drilling machine can be able to mix about 120 liters of paint, or between 100 and 140. That's about 5 to 7 buckets of paint, depending on the capacity of the hand drilling machines. These are simple methods you can start with small scale production. So the sites, I've discussed about the size. So now another thing that we need to consider when thinking of how to start quality paint production in Nigeria is the accessibility to raw material. I've said it before, raw material is one of the major capital intensive in paint production. When you have your raw material available, it's just like you have your stock of goods available. The necessary thing in that, you have stock. A business is all about raw materials. If you have your raw materials, you have your goods readily available. The only thing you need is the ideas, formulation, how to mix this paint together. So when we are talking of paint production, producing paint, what are the constituents of paint, chemicals involved in paint production? The major chemicals in paint production, let's say we are producing emulsion paint. Emulsion paint is a water-based paint that has additive, binder, pigment, and extenders. So these are the major chemicals you need in producing emulsion paint. When we mean by emulsion paint are water-based paint that are produced using water as well as simple acrylic that creates a binding force between the chemicals together. The major chemicals in paint production is the binder. The binder is called the PVA, which create a binding force between these paint chemicals together. So when you are producing emulsion paint, it's just about creating a formulation idea. We have the water, you know the size of water you need in this paint. Then the acrylic, you know the size of acrylic in kg. Then your titan is one of the major important components in paint. Depending on the color, the amount of titan you use in different color determine the amount of titan you use in a particular paint depend on the color you are producing. So if you are producing a color like black, color like green, deep green, there will be a reduction or totally elimination of titan in black. So titan increase the opacity. Opacity is the ability of your paint to be able to overcome a deep color such as black, such when you paint it in your first coat, you are able to achieve a better results. Then the extender is the calcium. So you know the size of the calcium you'll be adding in your. So you formulate ideas on a 20 liters of paint. Then on this 20 liters of paint, you can then use it to multiply the number of buckets you want to produce in a particular drum. So we have preservative, we have that's all addictive. Then you produce your gloss paint. What you need in your gloss paint is your resin. That's the gloss binder. That's resin. Resin is one of the major important constituent in gloss paint, and there are different type of resin. We have the light based resin, medium based resin, epoxy resin, floor resin, and many more resin that you need for different purposes. The major resin used in gloss is the light one. Then we have matte production. That's the matte is just a percentage increase in the titan as well as the acrylic and the reduction in the extender. This will give you another quality binding force that make the paint more quality and durable than emulsion paint, because there is a percentage increase in the binder that give resistance to fadeness and other factors that may affect paint. Another paint we have is the satin paint. Satin paint is a washable paint that you can clean when dirty, when it adds stains. So the major differences between a satin or a silk paint and matte paint is the percentage increase in the acrylic and the titan, then total elimination of calcium. That's the satin paint. Then the test coat. So all these ideas is just about formulation. Same raw materials are used, then you determine your formulation. Then if you want a good quality paint that you know you have determine the cost effectiveness, then it determines the level of your chemical component. These are some of the major ideas you need in paint production. The major important thing you need in paint production is idea formulations. That's the technical skills, your target market, then your site locations, then accessibility to raw material. If you have these four major knowledge, you are good to go in wet creation. Thank you for watching today's video. I'm Wahab Biliamin Oladimeji. Please kindly give your comment on this video if you like it. If you like more of this video to be coming, I would like you to comment in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, Wabili House Finishes, and share this video to everyone you know. Wabili House Finishes. Thank you.